Good day. My name is MARISSA, and now I will be presenting a topic about meaning word sort, a strategy for vocabulary development. Explore the meaning word sort, the strategy, and its benefits for vocabulary development. Okay. Meaning word sort. It is a strategy used to help learners to develop their understanding of letter sound relationships and connect word pronunciation to word meaning by sorting words based on a specific criteria. By Jennings, Lerner, and Caldwell, year 2014. Okay, now let's look at the steps involved in the pre-implementation phase. Here are the steps for pre-implementation. The first one is list key vocabulary words. The second one is divide the students into small groups. Implementation, we need to do the three: before, during, and after sorting. First, before sorting, we need to set up headers for each category, and also we need a model of few words for students to compare. During sorting, we need to encourage students to read and provide guidance if needed. After sorting, the students have checked their own and they can verbalize what each category has in common. Here are my examples for word sorting. So, well, when we sort word based on OI letters and OY letters, the list would be like this. Okay. The first one is OI letters, the point. So you can see the OI here at the middle, the word point. Coin, foil, joint, oil, voice, and noise. While the OI letters, so we can see it here at the last part of the word, which is boy, joy, soy, and toy. Now, let's look at another example here. The word AB, which is love, nub, tab. If AN, it is ban, pan, man, while AT is sat and cut, and so on. And now, let's talk about the strength and weaknesses of a word sort. Just have its own advantage and disadvantages. First, what is the advantages of word sorting? The first one is vocabulary development. The second one is spelling and phonics skills. And the last one is metacognitive awareness. So, word sorts improve spelling phonics skills through the analysis of word patterns and letters combination. These activities promote metacognitive awareness as students reflect on their own thinking process during word categorization and sorting. This is the disadvantages of word sorting. The first one is limited text. The second one is lack of engagement. And the last one is time management. Word sort has limitation in terms of context, engagement, and time management for teachers. The isolated presentation of words can hinder students' understanding of real-life usage. Good day. My name is MARISSA, and now I will be presenting a topic about meaning word sort, a strategy for vocabulary development. And now, let's compare and contrast the meaning word sort strategy in different contexts. So, here are the table for compare and contrast. So, My target students are struggling readers. Grade levels appropriate. The word sort is for early grade. Materials needed is word cards, graphic organizer, writing materials, or virtual technology. Teacher preparation needed is also a moderate. When it used, of course, before, during, and after. The setting is, it is fit for individuals, small groups, or a whole class. Good day. My name is Marissa Tishabal, and now I will be presenting a topic about meaning word sorry, a strategy for vocabulary development. Okay, this is my conclusion about this topic. Mm. Uh, the word uh, the word sort strategy effectively develops vocabulary, improves spelling and phonic skills, and promotes metacognitive awareness of word pronunciation. Of course, this is my recommendation for the teachers or for the future teachers. Of course, uh, integrate word sort into regular vocabulary instruction and differentiation while encouraging reflection and utilizing technology for interactive learning experiences.
Hello, everyone. Before I proceed to the strategy that was assigned to me, let me introduce myself. I'm Jubil P. URSOLINO. Let's start. As we all know, vocabulary building is one of the ways to develop our language proficiency. But how can we develop our vocabulary or our students' vocabulary? This is through techniques, methods, and strategies like meaning word sorts, list group label, and semantic picture analysis. Now I will be discussing the list group label strategy. Let me read the definition according to Rami 2021. According to him, it helps students to activate their prior knowledge and remember English words easily. Also, it teaches the students to make a concept about a vocabulary. This strategy aims to enhance students' vocabulary and categorization abilities while aiding in concept organization. As a matter of fact, this strategy does not only help students remember individual words, but also teaches them to conceptualize vocabulary as interconnected networks of meaning. Now, let us proceed to the steps for pre-implementation of list group label strategy. And this is for before reading, but it can also be used during reading and after reading. But I will only be focusing on before reading because of limited time. For the first step, selecting text. We must choose a reading passage or text that aligns with the learning objectives and vocabulary goals of our lesson. And for the next step, planning instruction. We must develop a plan for introducing the strategy to the students. Consider how we will explain the purpose of the activity. We must provide instruction for grouping and labeling. Also, we must facilitate students' engagement. And for the last step, it is preparing materials. We must gather any materials needed for the activity, such as paper, markers, or digital tools. We must ensure that students have access to the necessary resources to actively participate in the activity. Next are the steps for implementation of list group label strategy. It is for before reading according to Junaid 2012. For the first step, introduction with visual aid, we begin the lesson by presenting visual aids such as pictures depicting various objects. These visuals serve as a means to introduce and explain new vocabulary related to the lesson's topic. For the next step is topic identification or choosing central concepts. We must assign a one or two word topic related to the material that students will be reading. for the third step, group brainstorming or listing of words. For this step, students are divided into small groups and tasked with brainstorming as many words as they can relate to the given topic. And for the fourth step, presentation of a generated list. So once each group has completed their brainstorming session, we collect the list of words generated by the students. Then we read aloud the compiled list, ensuring that all groups have contributed. And for the fifth step, categorizing and labeling. Students are instructed to categorize the words into different groups based on their similarities. Each category is then labeled with a title reflecting the shared characteristic of the words within it. And for the last step, group sharing or individual sharing. Finally, the students will share their categorized list and labels within the whole group. Is an example of list group label map. So at the left side, it is the list of words related to the concept. And on the upper part, it is the concept or it is the word or the topic. And for the table, on the upper part of the table, we must include the label. And on the lower part of the table, it includes the word related to the label. To fully understand, here is an example of crafted or used list group label map. So the concept is family, and the words related to the concept family are mother, brother, sister, supportive, trustworthy, grandparents, anchor, compass, heart, shield, loving, protective, caring, lighthouse, father. And the labels are members, characteristic, and symbols. And the words related to the label members are mother, father, sister, grandparents, and a brother. For the characteristic, the words related are supportive, trustworthy, loving, caring, protective. And for the last label symbol, the words related to this are anchor, compass, shield, heart, and lighthouse. Next is the comparison and contrast of meaning, word sort, and LGL. As for the target students, as you can see, I didn't include the struggling learners in LGL because for students who are struggling when it comes to differentiating between words like verbs, nouns, and adjectives, it will be difficult for them as they are going to categorize the words. For grade levels appropriate for, I included middle grade and high school, as according to July 2012, it is suggested that the teachers, especially those who teach English of the junior high school, to use LGL as an alternative to all teaching methods. And for the materials needed, it can be used in face-to-face classes. Also, it can be adapted to virtual learning. And for teacher preparation needed, it is in moderate preparation as the teacher only need to prepare the graphic organizer. Also, during reading, he or she only needs to prepare the copy of the literary text. And when it is used, it can be used in before reading, during reading, and after reading. And it is applicable to all settings. However, as I've read researches and sample demonstration for list group label strategy, they are using it more in whole class and small groups. Next are the strengths of LGL. For the first strength, it is structured when it comes to organization. So this strategy provides a clear and structured framework for organizing information, which is, I think, essential for enhancing comprehension and retention. Unlike meaning word sorts, which may lack a broader organizational framework, and semantic analysis, which can sometimes be overwhelming in its complexity. This strategy offers a straightforward approach to categorization. And for the next strength, it is active engagement. This strategy promotes active engagement through the process of grouping and labeling, encouraging critical thinking and metacognitive awareness. While meaning word sorts also engage learners in categorization activities, LGL strategy goes further by requiring learners to actively think about how to group items and label their categories. It fosters a deeper understanding and application of knowledge. And for the last one, contextual application, through encouraging learners to contextualize and apply their understanding within a structured framework, the LGL strategy promotes meaningful learning, meaning word sorts may focus more narrowly on word meanings without providing a broader context for understanding, while semantic analysis may delve deeply into semantic features without always facilitating practical application. Next are the weaknesses of LGL. The first one is lack of specificity. This strategy may not capture the meanings or semantic relationship between words as effectively as meaning word sorts or semantic feature analysis. And next is less emphasis on individual word meanings. This strategy may prioritize categorization and organization over in-depth analysis of word meanings themselves. And for the third one, potential oversimplification. So there's a risk of oversimplification with this strategy as it categorizes information into broad groups without knowing the finer details or complexities. And for the last one, applicability. In terms of applicability, when considering the vocabulary level of the reader, the LGL strategy can pose disadvantages compared to meaning word sorts and semantic feature analysis because LGL relies on students' ability to provide labels for groups of words. It may inadvertently create a barrier for learners with limited vocabulary. For my recommendations for this strategy, the first one is differentiated instruction. So, as a teacher, we must tailor the complexity of vocabulary and concepts to accommodate diverse learners' needs. We must provide additional support, such as visual aids or simplified explanation for students who may struggle with certain concepts. And my second recommendation is explicit instruction on labeling. So, as a teacher, we must provide explicit instruction on how to generate appropriate labels for word groups. We must teach students strategies for identifying common characteristics and creating meaningful labels that accurately reflect the category. So, for my conclusion, list group label strategy is a valuable tool for vocabulary development. However, its effectiveness may be influenced by various factors such as students' prior knowledge of the topic and the complexity of the topic. So while this approach encourages students to actively engage with vocabulary and categorize words based on their understanding, it may present challenges for learners when encountering unfamiliar or abstract concepts. Additionally, students' varying levels of background knowledge can impact their ability to accurately categorize words and provide appropriate labels. Therefore, educators should consider individual students' needs and select vocabulary that align with students' current understanding. And that's all for LGL or List Group Label Strategy.
Good day. I am about to discuss one of the strategies in teaching vocabulary, specifically semantic feature analysis. Okay, so when we say semantic feature analysis, it is very similar to semantic mapping. It teaches the relationship in a visual way. Okay, it uses a grid line to organize connection between the words. The grid line is based on a subject or concept. In this strategy, discussion is the key element. We have to encourage our students or learners to talk about the how they decided whether a certain feature applies to a word. It also says that semantic features analysis, according to Amir 2018, it is a powerful strategy that mimics the way the brain organizes information. It also enables the learners to recognize first the semantic relatedness between words, and second, the fact that they hardly ever share when they share some semantic features. Okay, so I have here the steps. Number one is words and features. Okay, so we have to list down the phrases or individual words that are represented in the text or related to the key concept of the text. Next, we have to consider each word and determine if it is present large ideas or concept, or if it is more of a detail relating to the primary concept. So it is important to note that while giving a student the features during the initial teaching of the strategy is useful, students will benefit far more when creating their own features for the given vocabulary words. As they become even more active in their learning, okay, so this is a modification that will considered as students become more experienced with the procedures. Next one is create the matrix. Inside the matrix, we have to add words that considered a feature, or a superordinate idea across the top, and add the important vocabulary or subordinate concepts down and left hand column. Okay, so later we will be having the example. Okay, so the third step is code the matrix. After creating the matrix, it will need to make copies for students or complete it as a whole group by maybe a projector, okay, I or or a visual aids. And so while this strategy can be used before reading a piece of text, it can also be useful after or during reading as a way to help students reflect on what they read or connect to what they are reading. Coding is the matrix that can be accomplished in many ways. The first suggestions made by Johnsons and Pearson was to use positive or negative sign to equate to a positive or negative response if the given word had or did not have a particular features. Okay, so let's move on to, okay, so strengths and weaknesses of SFA. So number one is vocabulary development. So it promotes vocabulary development by encouraging students to explore the characteristic and features of words. It helps students expand their vocabulary repertoire and understand word meanings in a more nuanced way. SFA also fosters critical thinking skills as a students analyze and compare the characteristic of a vocabulary words. It prompts them to think deeply, make connections, and engage in a higher order thinking processes. And it also enhances a student's conceptual understanding or of vocabulary words by exploring their features and relationships. And then SFA also actively engages the students in the learning process. It encourages them to participate, discuss, and collaborate among their students or among their uh, workmates or setmates, and making the learning experiences more interactive and meaningful. Then the last one is the visual representation. It utilizes a visual charts or grids to represent the analysis of vocabulary words. This visual representation helps students organize information, see the patterns, and make connections more easily. Okay, so here are the weakness of semantic features analysis. Number one is time consuming, of course. SFA can be a time consuming strategy, specifically when analyzing a large number of vocabulary words or when engaging in extensive discussion. It may require sorry, careful planning and allocation of sufficient instructional time. And then the next one is limited scope, because it only focuses primarily on the analysis of the characteristic or features of a vocabulary words. It may not address other aspects of word knowledge, such as word usage in a context or word formation. The next one is subjectivity. Um, uh, the identification and selection of characteristic or features in SFA can be subjective. Different individuals may have different interpretation or perspective on the features to be analyzed, which may affect the consistency of analysis across the students. And the fourth one is overemphasis on a surface level. Okay, so SFA primarily focuses on the surface level analysis of vocabulary words based on their features. It may not be delved deeply into the complex known sense of word meaning or explore the culture of contextual aspect of word usage. Then the last one is the lack of generalizability. Okay, so the skills developed through SFA may not always transfer easily to another context or domains. Students may struggle to apply the analysis skills learned through um, SFA. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, so ito yung aking conclusion. Okay, so it is valuable teaching strategies for vocabulary development and critical thinking skills. Okay, so it encourages students to analyze and compare the characteristic of features of vocabulary words, leading to a deeper understanding of words. So here are my recommendation. Number one is to select appropriate vocabulary. So we have to choose vocabulary words that have distinct characteristic or features that can be analyzed and compared. Ensure that the words are relevant to the topic or concept being taught. The number two is to provide clear instruction. Okay, clearly explain the purpose and the process of SPA to students, model the analysis process, and provide guidance as students work together through the chart or grid. The number three is to encourage the collaboration and the discussion. Okay, so we have to foster collaborative discussions among our students or learners during the analysis process. And then encourage them to share their observation, make comparisons, and ask questions to deepen their understanding. Then number four is to promote critical thinking. We have to foster through thought-provoking question that prompts students to think critically about the relationship between features and word meanings. We have to encourage them to reflect on how each feature contributes to the overall understanding of the word. Then the next one is scaffold and differentiate. We have to provide appropriate scaffolding and differentiation based on students' proficiency levels and needs, and offer support to struggling students and challenge advanced learners with more complex vocabulary words. Okay, so the last is to I think last one, sorry. The next one is assess understanding. Okay, so regularly we have to assess students' understanding of vocabulary words and their ability to analyze and compare features. We have to also use formative assessment to guide instruction and provide targeted feedback. And the last one is to adapt SFA to suit the specific needs and preferences of our students. Okay, so I think that's enough. Okay, so the table shows the three different instructional materials, instructional strategies for teaching reading and vocabulary skills, which is word sort, list group label, and semantic feature analysis. So the three instructional strategies mentioned provide different approaches to teaching and reading vocabulary skills. Word sort is suitable for struggling readers in early grades and focuses on word recognition and categorization. List group label is applicable to middle grades and school students, allowing them to analyze and categorize information, while semantic feature analysis is more intensive strategy that can be used that can be used with the students of various ages and proficiency levels, emphasizing vocabulary development and critical thinking. So it is evident that these strategies can be adapted to both face-to-face and virtual learning environments. This flexibility is crucial in today's educational landscape. Um, the use of graphic organizer and technology tools can enhance the effectiveness of this strategy by providing visual representation and interactive learning experiences. Based on our brainstorming and agreement, we choose semantic feature analysis because it offers a more comprehensive approach to understanding vocabulary. And aside from that, we can use it in junior high school and senior high school setup. So this strategy allows students to explore the relationships between words and words based on semantic features, helping them make connections and deepen their understanding of words' meanings. Additionally, semantic feature analysis promotes critical thinking skills as students analyze and categorize words based on shared features, which can lead to a more meaningful and lasting understanding of the vocabulary. So here is an example of teaching demonstration using semantic feature analysis. Okay, so here's our practical application of the strategy. So we use grade 11 as a as a participant. The subject is food fish processing, and our learning competency is to select tools, equipments, utensils, and instruments according to food fish processing method. Okay, class. Are you familiar with the concept of food preservation? Hmm, that's good to hear. Did you know that the food preservation is important in extending the shelf life of food and preventing it from spoiling? I want you to look at the semantic feature analysis. Okay, so this is a semantic feature analysis. So semantic feature analysis is a technique used to compare and contrast different items based on their features. I have here the chart and a cabinet full of tools, equipments, utensils, and even machines that can be used in different methods of food processing. I need a volunteer from the class who wants to understand the features of the materials. And then once you've done, let's classify. I want you to classify them according to their method by marking a check on the grid lines. Okay. Okay, so let's check your output. Let me see. Okay, measuring spoon. Okay, so a measuring spoon can be used in all processing methods. It is the most basic tool for measuring ingredients. So that is correct. Okay, so another, a meat thermometer. So a meat thermometer is used to measure the tenderness of meat and is usually used in smoking fish and other poultry meat products. So that is good. That is correct. I mean, okay, so the next one is glass container. So a glass container is the most suitable jar for fermentation and salting. Okay, so did you know, class, that the glass containers are generally not suitable for freezing? Why? Because they cannot withstand extreme temperatures. But class, did you know that aside from glass containers, we have traditional jars which are earthen pots that can be best suitable for fermentation and salting. Okay, so next is a mixing bowl and pair of knives or kitchen knives. Okay, so it can be used in all methods of processing. So that is correct. Okay, so next one is smokehouse. So smokehouse is literally for smoking only. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, the last but not the least, sealing machine. Okay, in packaging processed products such as frozen, smoked, and dried products, we can use a sealing machine. Okay, so hopefully you gained that something from our activity, and later you're going to use it in our discussion.